Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video day, and today we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans should release quarterback Davis Mills, who was in a quarterback competition with rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, who was picked number 2 overall in the 2023 NFL Draft. They went through quarterback competition throughout the whole preseason and training camp, and they went through competition through really everything since C.J. got drafted. And then yesterday, after the Texans beat the New Orleans Saints 17-13 in the final preseason game, where C.J. Stroud only played 2 drives, but threw 16 passing yards and 4 passing attempts and 2 completions. And might I say, the two incompletions he threw were beautiful passes. One was a catch. The one was a drop by Nico Collins. That was great. It was a great defensive play by the corner that was guarding Nico Collins on the play. Would have been over a 30-yard connection with Nico Collins and a 30-yard throw by C.J. Stroud. And the other was a play where C.J. Stroud threw a pass to Robert Woods, and Robert Woods could not get out of bounds to get to play. It was a little bit overthrown by Stroud on the play, but I feel like there was a little bit of pass interference by the defender who was guarding Robert Woods on the play there. But Stroud looked really solid yesterday, and not a lot of playing time in the Texans' final preseason game, while Davis Mills did not look too good. He threw, I think, 6 for 11 with 53 passing yards, but was sacked 3 times. And one of the times he was sacked, he lost the football. It was a fumble, but luckily, rookie guard / center Jarrett Patterson fell on the ball, and the Texans did not have a turnover. But Mills did fumble, and he was sacked 3 times. Didn't look that great. Looked okay. He did lead a scoring drive where the Texans did put 3 on the board with a 28-yard field goal drive for Kaimi Fairbairn. But I've been seeing a lot of Texans Twitter saying when the Texans cut their roster spots down to 53 and have to cut 37 players tomorrow, that one of the players they should and need to cut is Davis Mills, third-year quarterback, who the Texans selected in the 3rd round of the 2021 NFL Draft. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Davis Mills was cut tomorrow. Texans have already cut 6 players, so they don't need to cut 37 players tomorrow. They only need to cut 31. They released some big names today already. I mean, Christian Kirksey, Roy Lopez, Desmond King II were all released today. Here were some of the other guys that were released. They released Rashad Coward, and who's an offensive lineman, and then they released Nick Vannett. So I'm sorry, not 6 players that were released. There was 5 players released. So they have to release another 32 players tomorrow. So they have some releasing to do. They have some cuts to make. They have to cut the roster down to 31. But then they're going to pick up 16 more players when once they set up the practice squad. But, I mean, Davis Mills, it wouldn't be that bad of an idea to let him go. There are guys that should make this roster and when you can just cut Davis Mills and Case Keenum can be your backup quarterback. I mean, I think Case Keenum right now is a better quarterback than Davis Mills. I'm not saying I'd rather him play quarterback for the Texans, but here's the thing. I think CJ is going to be the starter all season. And knock on wood with me, but I don't think CJ will get hurt. But, I mean, knock on wood, everybody. But I don't think CJ will play bad and get benched either. I can definitely say for a fact. CJ might play bad sometimes, but CJ's never going to play bad enough to the point where D'Amico Ryans is like, all right, we're gonna bench you and put in Davis Mills or Case Keenum. That's never going to happen. Stroud can definitely get hurt. That's possible. But if Stroud stays healthy, he is the starter all season. And just to have a veteran backup like Case Keenum, and I've been hearing a lot of whispers that the Texans would maybe like to cut one of their quarterbacks, whether it's Case Keenum or Davis Mills. If you have to make a decision like that and you're not going to keep all three guys on the roster with Stroud, Mills, and Keenum, and you feel like you have to cut one of Mills or Keenum, you definitely cut Mills. To have Keenum on this roster is pivotal because not only is he a solid quarterback, and he would be a decent quarterback if anything ever happened to C.J. Stroud. And honestly, I feel like here's how I feel. I feel like Case Keenum would probably do better in this offense than Davis Mills, just my opinion. But the veteran experience he brings in, the mentor to CJ Stroud that Case Keenum is going to be to CJ Stroud in his rookie season is going to be pivotal. Everybody in this line, it's not just CJ Stroud. I mean, we talk about how pivotal Case Keenum, how pivotal Case Keenum being around CJ is. That's going to be great for CJ, but it's all the other guys. Everybody loves Case Keenum in this quarterback room. I mean, not only this quarterback room, this whole roster. He's a guy some of these guys look up to. He's, Damian Pierce was talking about how awesome it is to have him, on this roster and, on this offense as a vet, and it's just so cool. And some other players on this roster have praised Case Keenum. There is no way in hell I see Case Keenum getting cut tomorrow. So if the Texans are thinking about, cutting multiple quarterbacks tomorrow, because they have 4 quarterbacks on their roster, and I've heard some things that the Texans might want to get to 2 quarterbacks. And if they're going to get to 2 quarterbacks, you cut Davis Mills and E.J. Perry. You do not cut Case Keenum. That's just how I feel. But honestly, I wouldn't be mad if Davis Mills got released or cut or waived, whatever you want to call it. But I do think the Texans will most likely keep all 3 quarterbacks on the roster and release the other one, E.J. Perry. I think the Texans, of course, you're going to see Stroud stay on the roster. Now, that would be a dumb decision if you really... No one's going to have... It's all jokes, but no, Stroud staying. I think, even though there's some controversy, I think Mills is going to stay. Even though there's controversy as well, I think Keenum will stay. So there's 3 quarterbacks in the quarterback room. E.J. Perry gets waived or released or whatever you want to call it. And now there's 3 quarterbacks for the Houston Texans in the 2023 season. I mean, look at the San Francisco 49ers, a team last season who had so much injuries to the quarterback. I mean, nowadays, now teams, there's, you don't see it often. There's still teams that are confident, just rolling with 2 quarterbacks on their roster. But you're going to see a lot of more teams wanting to have 3 quarterbacks on their roster just because of what happened with the 49ers last year. In that NFC Championship game with, Brock Purdy going down, then Josh Johnson going down, and then them having to go with a Wildcat with, Christian McCaffrey and having to bring out a hurt Brock Purdy. For teams that want to be better and want to win ball games, you're going to see a lot of decent amount of teams in tomorrow's 53-man roster deadline. I really think you're going to see quite a bit of teams have 3 quarterbacks on their roster, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans do the same thing. But you guys have your thoughts in the comment section. Should the Texans release Davis Mills? Should they keep him on the roster in tomorrow's 53-man roster? The 53-man roster getting announced tomorrow. Let me know what you think the Texans should do with Mills. Keep him as the backup quarterback and keep Keenum as well, or release Mills and have C.J. Stroud and Case Keenum as the 2 quarterbacks in the Texans quarterback room for the 2023 season. And then I would probably bet that if they did that, then A.J. Perry would probably get signed to the practice squad. But we'll see what happens. Use your thoughts on the potential, the potential move for the Texans. You guys let me know what you think will happen for the rest of this 53-man roster cut down. And yeah, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Texans.